Wisdom. It's an incredibly valuable asset. Some would say more precious than gold. It's attractive, appealing, admirable. Conversely, a lack of wisdom is the basis of immaturity, blind spots, and bad decisions. Wisdom. It can be gained over time, but it can't be rushed. But wisdom can be shared. That's precisely what we are here to do right now. Today, we are here to hack wisdom, to distill it, to understand it, and to process it. Why? To get better at life. Welcome to The Main Thing. This is your new 9-minute podcast. I'm your host, Skip Lineberg, and I've set out to interview the wisest people I know. We'll see what we can learn from each one when they're faced with an incredibly difficult, soul-piercing question. My guest today on The Main Thing is Emily Bennington. Emily is a communications professional. She's a published author, a professional speaker, and presently she is the executive director of the Circle of Atonement, publisher of A Course in Miracles. Emily, welcome to The Main Thing podcast. Thank you so much for being on the show with me this morning.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Emily, for our audience, let's give them some context and background of how we know each other.
All right. Well, we have a pretty unique relationship because in addition to being my dear friend, you were my boss and former mentor. Although I say former, but that's not entirely true. I still learn a lot from you.
Likewise, and don't forget co-author.
Co-author, yep, that's right.
You convinced me to write a book, which we wrote a book together, and we got it published despite, I think, 74 rejections.
Quite a few, yes. I have them all in a binder in my house, yeah.
So we published our book. I'll put a brief plug in here for Effective Immediately, which was published in April of 2010. And since that time, how many other books have you written?
2 other books, yeah.
Go ahead and give us the titles.
One is called Who Says It's a Man's World, and it is for women who are making the transition into executive leadership. And the other is called Miracles at Work, and it is incorporating the principles of A Course in Miracles into your career.
Awesome. You guys should go out and order both books. Let's give them the prescription or the application for our book, Effective Immediately.
Yeah, okay. Well,
so everything that you should have learned in college but didn't, and everything that your first boss expects you to know.
But you never learned in school.
Exactly.
Yeah, because these are the soft skills. They call them soft skills, but they're not soft at all. These are the hardest things to learn.
They are.
And they cause the most trouble for us because the things that we don't learn are all about relationships.
Right.
And in fact, can I share this? I'm not.
Please.
I remember my very first performance review with you.
Okay.
When you said, Emily, I think that your technical skills are really sharp. I know you want a raise. I know you want a promotion, but I can't give that to you because the team doesn't respect you. Do you remember this?
Oh, wow. Yes, I remember clearly that conversation. I remember the preparation leading up to it. I can picture the visual of you sitting in my office and us having that meeting for sure.
That changed everything. And that's what set us on the path of writing that book. Because I said to you, I clearly have a blind spot here. So if you'll help me, I promise to be a good student. And off we went. Yeah.
And so we made a deal, right? We made a bargain.
Yeah.
That if you could prove to me that you had acquired these certain soft skills that were deficiencies at the time, that then you would get your raise. And you did.
And I did.
And you did. So let's get right down to it. I want to ask you the question that I ask each of my wise guests. What's the main thing you've learned so far in life?
Well, Skip, the main thing that I have learned in life so far is that there is no problem or challenge that cannot be solved with love. And the reason why I bring this up is because I was thinking about what is it that I would want to say in a podcast with you. And one of the things that I have learned from you is something that you learned from a mentor of yours, John Wells, who would come into his work and say, what challenge can I solve today?
Yeah.
And I have never forgotten that. And I have always used that same approach to my work. And I think where we go wrong is we expect everything to go smoothly.
Right.
And then when we're faced with a challenge, we become destabilized.
Right.
So if you go in and you say, I expect the challenge.
Yeah.
And I'm going to welcome it, and I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to solve it, and I'm going to be excited about it versus off-put by it. And I'm not going to become emotionally unzipped because of this thing that happened. I'm going to hold it like a leader. And
to look forward to those things that need fixed that you can play a role in.
Yeah, to look forward to those things. But where I've added to it,
I noticed the with love.
With love, yeah.
Talk us through that.
Yeah, because I think that where we get into our biggest trouble is in interpersonal trip-ups. This goes back to the first performance review with you. Technical skills are good, but you're not going to get where you want to go unless the team respects you. And you can really broaden that out to any part of your life. You're not going to have the marriage or the relationship with your spouse that you want unless they respect you. And how do you get respect? Well, you respect someone else. And part of respect is love.
Absolutely.
Love is a decision. I think where we go wrong is we think that the other person has to prove their worth through their behaviors and through their actions, and then we'll decide whether we love them. And
that's the common wisdom, which is actually not wisdom. That's the common thinking.
Yeah, it is. It is. And if you can make a decision that there is no problem or challenge that cannot be solved, that's number one. And then choosing to love through it no matter what, making that a decision, making that a choice, that's a power. Love is irresistible. We crumble in the face of it.
Right.
And the biggest problem is we get into this place where if we have a challenge, we put walls up. Love is the very thing that brings walls down.
Indeed.
And so that's why I think it's the best lesson that I have learned. And I think if you're going to get through a challenge with someone else, they have to know that you respect them before they hear you.
Absolutely.
And part of the problem with our division and isolation and separation today is that we're not hearing each other. And if we can get to a place where it's like, I'm going to love you first, and then we're going to figure out what this problem is, then I think we'll go a long way to solving those challenges that plague us so much.
Yeah, 100% agree. Emily, when you decided that this was truth, that's wisdom, and it's something that you're going to live by, what was going on in your life during that phase where this became truth to you?
I got more into spirituality and more into the following of Jesus as a historical teacher, and got more into the message of loving our neighbor as ourselves. And it's one of those things that you hear it so much it almost seems pat and rote.
Right.
But if you really take it seriously, it's kind of radical because no one really does it. We get to a place where other people have to demonstrate they're worthy of our love.
Right.
And if their behaviors, our love fluctuates. Our love is so conditional based on what the other person is displaying at any given time. And if they're doing the thing that we want them to do, the love goes up. If they're not, the love goes down. Yeah. But what Jesus's message is love them regardless. There's nothing that they can do that's unworthy of your love. And when you can approach any problem with that, like there's nothing that you could do that's unworthy of my love and us getting through this together. Let's start from that foundation.
I love it. I think that's a perfect place to end, Emily. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Wow, 9 minutes is up. That goes by incredibly fast, doesn't it? Time flies when you're hacking wisdom. I hope you're left wanting more. Sync up with us again next time on The Main Thing for 9 more minutes of wisdom.